What's on, where, and when. It's the Talk of Nelson. Talk Nelson Radio.
Welcome to Football Focus, episode 9, where we cover all things football in the top of the South. I'm Chris Butler. Welcome back to my co-host, Paul Bridie. Welcome back, mate.
Mr. Butler, how are you?
I just call you Bridie, not Bryden.
Well, that's
name, but,
yeah.
you're probably almost even more well known with Bridie, aren't you?
Yep. My father was called Bridie. He was
was
big
he?
around the Nelson Rugby Club. Bridie. That was so. Yeah, PB or Bridie. It doesn't worry me. Paul,
Stuck.
whatever. There's probably other names that people would like to call me, but we won't discuss them.
All complimentary, I'm sure.
Mm.
On this week's show, we talk senior men's and women's local premiership, the Southern League men's and women's, overseas news, including the premiership this weekend and the FIFA Women's World Cup. Nelson Senior Women's Premiership and Mapua Cougars are taking on Golden Bay Shield Maidens. The Maidens going down 2-1 to the reserves, and the Cougars having a good win against Motueka 4-0.
Mm.
So, yeah, it's at home at Mapua Domain.
Well, as I said, the league's starting to sort itself out. Good result for Suburbs Girls over Takaka at the weekend, winning 2-1. Close result for Golden Bay. Obviously, the score suggests that. But, Suburbs reserves 3 points there. So, and Mapua winning at Mott 4-0, or Mott's bottom of the table. Mapua are sort of fourth in the table. You'd have to pick Mapua to beat Golden Bay this week at the Mapua Domain, Chris.
Hot House Creative Richmond Foxes are taking on Motueka, so it doesn't get any easier for Motueka.
Well, look, one thing Slotsy does with his team when he plays the team sort of near the bottom, he tends to he might play with 9 or 10 and he'll get him playing 2-touch just to keep it interesting. He won't want his team to go out there and put their foot on the throttle. They could, because they're quite a talented side, they could easily win that quite big. So he's quite good like that. But look, Motueka got everything to play for here. Turn up, have a go. But Foxes will be far too good.
I was just thinking as I was writing up the schedule for this week that Motueka just keep turning up and playing each week. Haven't seen any defaults or anything like that. So good on the girls for keeping in there and playing. I'm sure they're going to be stronger for it.
Well, that's the problem. That's what the people were saying about the league, where it should be split. And Slotsy even said it's difficult to work out what you do. Right, you split the league. It is what it is.
You've got to have the numbers. But they'll grow. They'll get good experience from this, and they'll grow.
Well, that's what I said, Chris. I said, look, the more you play against better players, the more you should improve. As long as you learn from it, going forward. Whether they do the same system next year, who knows?
Well, I remember Motueka being a second division side for many years.
Yeah.
They were pushed into the first division, and look at them now. I mean, that side could win any day of the week against any of the sides if they bring it all together. So it just shows the growth. Nelson Suburbs Women's Reserves taking on Getcar's Nelson Diamonds. So this will be a good game.
Yeah, it will be. Diamonds had the bye last week,
yes.
And then I think prior to that they drew 2-2, did they? Look, that'll be a tough game for them out at Saxtons. Two good sides. Both going for second place by the looks of things. Diamonds got a game in hand. Look, it'll be tight. I'll go for the Diamonds this week.
Nelson Suburbs Swans have the bye. They had a good win last week, 6-1 against Brigham Fern Tahuna Breakers. The Breakers this week take on FC Nelson Wahine at Tahunanui, so it won't be an easy task for the Wahine side.
No, it won't be. And the last time they played, I think it was 3-3 draw at Botanic. So out at Tahuna. Tahuna second the bottom. Wahine just 4 points in front of them. Yeah, close game there. Hard to pick. I'll go to the Wahine.
There you go.
Depends who turns up on the day.
Right. Okay. Hot House Creative Richmond Foxes at the top. And then it's very close for second place between FC Nelson Diamonds and Nelson Suburbs Women's Reserve. Nelson Pine Men's Premiership Division 1. FC Locomotive taking on Nelson Suburbs Reserves at Neil Park.
Default.
I was wondering about the scoreline there. So the Seals got the 3-0 win because of that. And the Reserves, they beat Garda Motel Motueka 3-2.
Yeah. Well, that's always a difficult game over there. Suburbs Reserves third on the table. And you see about Motueka, quite competitive side, hard to beat at home, big pitch. And but I just think the Suburbs Reserve technically got some good young players, got the result that day. So yeah, tight game though, by all accounts.
Yeah. So Locomotive and Suburbs Reserves, are we picking the reserves there, are we?
Yes, you would be. I think that game's kicking off at 1:00 because they want to see the game at 3:00. So they've changed the game there. I think both teams have agreed to do that.
Okay, we're going to come back to the next game, but Sprig and Fern Tahuna taking on Nelson Suburbs Seals. That game should go ahead. Seals picking up the defaulted result, and not a bad result. Tahuna only going down to Rangers 2-1.
Well, that's right. Yeah, apparently it was 1-0 to Rangers. Then I think Tahuna scored early in the second half, and I think it stayed like that till into the late 80 minutes, and then Rangers pipped it at the end. Wow. So Rangers hanging in there. But yeah, well, Tahuna are difficult. You know, we beat them last week, but they could have been 2 or 3 up against us, and quite a competitive side. Got some good players there, and on their day, hard to beat down there at the beach.
So what are we thinking against the Seals?
Oh, look, well, as you say, who depends up with Ben Wright playing, is Wesley O'Leary playing, is Tom Marsden playing, is Skippy playing. You need those experienced guys there. Without them, they've got a lot of young players. I think the Tahuna would beat them.
Garden Motel Motueka taking on Fresh Choice Richmond, and that's at Memorial Park. And it depends what Richmond turns up, doesn't it? Because you know, they drew against you, and let's talk about that game soon. But what are we picking between Motueka and Richmond?
Well, if Richmond play like they did against Mott on Saturday, like they did against us last week, I would fancy Richmond. But Mott have got that tenacity, and they're working hard. So I'm actually picking a draw there.
A draw. Okay. All right. The big one, Bridie, and it's Sheehan Financial FC Nelson taking on Rangers. Rangers getting the win 2-1 against Tahuna, as you say, just pipping it at the last minute. And then you guys drawing with Richmond 1-1. So.
Well, it was a funny game. Very disruptive. Players were late for us. The funny thing about it, 5 minutes to go, we're 1-0 up. And Rangers and Tahuna were 1-1.
Yes.
So the league's ours. Well, how things can change.
Yeah.
All of a sudden it was 2-1 the Rangers, and all of a sudden Richmond scored in the last minute. I think it was in the 48th minute of the second half, so there must have been a bit of overtime there. But look, it was a game we should have won. We had enough chances to win probably 2 games, but Richmond hung in there, and in the end, the goal they got was a beauty. The guy struck it from about 25 metres outside, right in the top corner. Wow. So look, and kudos to the Richmond boys. They worked really, really hard, but we were just a bit flat that day. And we actually talked about it at training last night on Tuesday. We can't turn up late. We had a team photo. The Chin boys have been playing for Chin United and then turning up. They hadn't eaten. They had no breakfast. They had to work in the morning. We looked a tired, dejected side, son, but we still had enough chances to win the game. So as it was, we drew 1-1. So nothing changes.
Yes.
Nothing changes. So
right.
I win a draw this week and we won it. So
yeah. Okay, so let's talk about that then. It's the big one. It's 3:00 at Guppy Park. You are on 37. Rangers are on 36.
Yeah.
So you draw. So you basically Rangers got to beat you, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Yes.
So look, last couple of weeks we've been a bit flat, and we are looking at changing a few things this week. But hopefully that I'll bring the Chins in. The Tangs are not going to play for Chin United this week, so they will be fully concentrating on our game. Won't be easy. Rangers are a good side. They'll be certainly up for it. But the thing is, they need to score. If we get a clean sheet, we'll win it. And that's as simple as that. So we will play accordingly. We might be a bit more direct this week. We might change our system. We might, instead of playing a 4 at the back, we might play a 5, a couple of quick wing backs. But who knows? We'll work it out at training on Thursday.
What's the forecast like? Do we know if it's?
Oh, no, I think the weather's pretty good. The weather's been great this year.
Yeah, it has.
Considering last year there was a lot of rained out games and you couldn't train, and this year, well, I think we've only had 1 week that's been, or maybe 1 or 2 that's been rained out. No, I think the it's just cold.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's right.
Not like Portugal. It's on fire.
So you prefer a nice flat track?
Yeah. Look, the nice track, the way we play, we try and, move it around. But look, it's going to be a tough game, 90 minutes. But it is what it is. At the end of the day, if we don't do it, we don't do it. If we do, we do. The club's committed to playoff football, so it'd be nice to get up there and give the boys another chance to go to Christchurch for a trip. And if we don't do it, well, we'll have another crack next year.
Yeah.
But, look, I'm fairly confident. We know how they play, and look, and they'll rise to the occasion. I think it's a big game for them. So we're a bit flat against Richmond last week, and the players know that. So we just need to step up this week and try and do the business. But it won't be easy.
What an exciting end to the season! That's
it is.
For sure.
It's good. So it's like a grand final.
It is, and so expect a big turnout from everyone down at Guppy Park.
Well, we actually looked at Trafalgar Park, Chris, because the Marco are away, and but the club decided no, if we get in the playoffs, we'll save that game for that. And of course, I don't know if it's the $903, but with Golden Bay playing Karenni from the second division, playing at 1:00, great opportunity to play on a great pitch and fully seated and stuff like that. So, but anyway, the game's at Guppy now.
Yeah.
It is what it is, and the weather's supposed to be fine. So
it'll be a big turnout down at Guppy, so
Yep.
full on and lots of support.
That's
So
it. Hope so.
good luck to everyone involved.
No
Southern
worries.
League women, and we've got Otago University taking on Canterbury University. Canterbury just going down to Kashmir Tech. So Otago, well, they didn't play last week, but Canterbury been actually playing quite well more recently.
Yeah, universities. Yeah, well, it's down in Otago. You'd have to pick Otago there. They're a wee bit higher on the points table, but yeah, let's get into that business end, isn't it? Are they playing 2 rounds, aren't they? So they've still got 3 or 4 games left. So, I'd pick Otago to win that one, Chris.
Coastal Spirit taking on Dunedin City Royals, and Coastal Spirit having a good win against Nelson, 5-0 last week.
Yeah, well, Sash went out and watched that, and she just said Coastal were just too good. Just much better side, which is a shame. Suburbs Girls are now they're on the bottom of the table, running 1 draw from their 7 games. So Kashmir Tech this week at home going to be a tough ask.
Yeah, that's right.
Tough ask.
So Coastal and Dunedin City, who are we picking there?
Coastal
For that, and Nelson Suburbs taking on Kashmir Tech. Kashmir beating Canterbury 2-0 last week. Be a tough ask, wouldn't it?
Yeah, look, as we said, it's their first time in the league for these girls, and then Geezer and I think it's Phil Platt done a marvellous job with this team just to get them in the league. Kudos to the Suburbs Football Club, but it was always going to be difficult this year. They're not used to that standard of football. A lot of these girls are local, and so having to step up and competing quite well. It's just that they've come unstuck last week 5-0. So look, anything could happen. Just keep battling.
Yeah, absolutely. Southern League men, and we've got Dunedin City Royals taking on Kashmir Tech, and Dunedin City getting 7-0 over FC 20. A big win there, and Kashmir Tech, there's no result from last week for them. So
they beat Selwyn 3-1, didn't they?
Oh, they did too. Sorry, I missed that. Yeah, Selwyn 3-1. So home to Dunedin for Dunedin City.
Who's home? Kashmir Tech.
No, Dunedin City.
Tough game, isn't it?
On the football turf, it says.
Yeah, no, I go for Tech.
Okay. And we've got Selwyn United taking on Green Island. And what happened for Selwyn? They went down to Kashmir, and Green Island just going down to Nomads. So they'll be both looking for a win there.
Green Island.
Ferrymead taking on FC 20. Ferrymead went down to Christchurch United 3-0, and FC 20, well, yeah, they're struggling at the moment, aren't they?
Well, you just don't know. This time of the year, you're in the middle of winter, it's cold, it's you could have a lot of flu going around, people can't train and stuff like that. So this is when your depth of your squad comes into it, and it's the teams like Christchurch United have got a big squad, always push on, and that's what it's all about. So FC 20 could be in that position.
Yeah. So Ferrymead there.
Yes.
For that one. Nomads taking on Coastal Spirit. Yeah. So Nomads did get the win, and Coastal Spirit went down to Nelson Suburbs 3-2.
Well, I think that's
shortly.
Yeah, well, that's a fantastic result. I haven't spoke to anyone about it. That was actually played Sunday. down in Christchurch. So that's a great result for Suburbs.
It is.
I'll be more than happy with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Nomads and Coastal.
I think Coastal will bounce back and win that.
And Nelson Suburbs doesn't get any easier. They're at home. It's on the Sunday against Christchurch United.
Oh, dear.
Yes.
Well, that'll be a game. Where are we? Yeah. That'll be a game that I'll be looking forward to. Sunday, 12 o'clock. Should get a good crowd for that. Christchurch United in the semi-finals of the Chapman Cup, coached by Paul Eiffel. Got some ex-Nelson Bars, Matt Todd Smith playing there.
Yeah.
So there'll be a good contingent of crowd out there. I'd love to see Suburbs beat them. I don't think...
Great, wouldn't it?
Well, look, United haven't lost a game all year. Played 14, won 13, drew 1. Haven't lost a cup game. They're in the semi-finals. Someone's got to top them over. Come on, lads.
That's right.
Turn up and do it.
And, great result against Coastal Spirits.
Yeah, exactly. They'll boost their confidence, because I was a bit worried about Suburbs, because I know Corey Larson's moved to Melbourne and young boy Shelling's gone to the States. I know Hoggy had a groin injury. He might be back. And they lost to Connor Gillespie, who scored 7 goals. He went to Wellington. So they are testing their depth a wee bit, but they've got good players out there. They've got good young players, Ethan Turner and these lads, and Connor Goody and these other young lads in the reserve side. So they might be getting opportunities now. But look, I think that's a game you'll be looking forward to.
Good way to end the season, that's for sure.
Well, exactly. They've still got 3 games left, but this one's like a cup final to them. Go out there and get into them.
Christchurch United well ahead on the table. They'll be going through, but Kashmir Tech, they've had a couple of good results recently, so they're actually, starting to secure that second spot, and they've got a game in hand.
Yeah,
so.
well, Dunedin City and Coastal Spirit have just dropped points recently, so I think that the top 2's done and dusted there. They're well through. There's only 3 games left. I just can't see the Royals or Coastal Spirit overtaking Kashmir Tech there, Chris.
Okay, overseas news, and Wolves boss Hulan Lopetegui has left the club. He's was the boss of Wolves, and ex-Bournemouth manager Gary O'Neill set to replace him.
Yeah, well, I find this quite strange, because he did quite well with that Wolves side last year. He kept them up. They've been a bit of a struggling side recently, and then the season starts this week and he's gone.
Must have been a blowout, an argument.
Well, did he get sacked, or did the players revolt, or because the thing with Bournemouth, they bought someone else, because Gary Neal, he saved their bacon this year. Really, they got rid of Scott Parker after if you remember, they lost to Liverpool 9-0, and Parker blatantly just started bagging the players. And, of course, the board didn't have that, so they sacked him, and they brought Gary O'Neill in, and he kept them up, which I'd actually picked Bournemouth to go down, because they're a small club. So it's actually good to see O'Neill got a job, because I was surprised he left Bournemouth. I don't know what was going on there, because they got some guy that used to be a Spanish lad who used to work under Bielsa. So he's at Bournemouth. So, yeah, interesting.
Newcastle United have signed Southampton defender Tino Livramento in a deal worth up to $40 million. So we haven't heard much of Newcastle. They did well last year, but hadn't heard much about their squad. But obviously a bit of tweaking going on there.
Well, I don't think they've lost a lot. Was Harvey Barnes gone there from Leicester? I think, has he gone to Newcastle?
I haven't heard that.
Yeah, so
potentially.
No, they'll be there or thereabouts. I just think they had their period last year. I'm not sure about this year. That's just my pick. But one of my best mates supports Newcastle United. Eddie Howe's done a great job there. They haven't lost a lot. They haven't brought in a lot. So they'll be consistent. But at that level, good coaches, work out how they play. We'll just see how they go this year.
Tottenham have completed deals for Netherlands under-21 defender Mickey van der Ven and Argentinian under-20 forward Alejo Velez. So obviously with the under-20 tournaments that have been going on, they've been keeping an eye on that and starting to sign up some young guns to come through. Yeah,
well, they'll just be part of their squad. They won't be first-team players, I can't imagine, but they'll be well involved with their squad. But it's interesting to see that Harry Kane's still at Tottenham.
Yeah.
So he hasn't been picked up. They can't afford him. So Tottenham are stuck with him. And I think he still wants to be there. Doesn't want to play for anyone else against Tottenham. So
yeah, well, that's right.
Bayern Munich, all the money that Tottenham want for him, Bayern Munich said no.
Yeah.
Well, the other sides have said no. So let's see Harry Kane stay in the Premier League this year.
Yeah. Well, that's not a
Excellent.
bad thing, isn't it?
No.
Arsenal wins the Community Shield on penalties, beating Man City. I didn't see the full match, but I saw the highlights, and I thought in the first half Arsenal certainly dominated, and by the looks of it, Man City did come back firing back in the second half. But Arsenal hung in there and then got the equaliser.
There was a bit of deflection, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. A shot and deflected off the defender, and then it went.
And won the penalty shootout. Oh,
Yeah.
good stuff. Yeah, well, Man City are traditionally slow starters. A lot of their players play a lot of international football and don't get a lot of break stuff. So, good on Arsenal. They'll take that. That's a trophy.
Yeah, that's right.
That's part of it. You got
Good
that.
start of the season.
You've got that. You got the Premier League. You got the FA Cup. You got the League Cup. You got Champions League. So that's part of that trophy cabinet. You can stick on your wall and say you've won it. So they'll be more than happy with that. Arteta and the whole squad.
And before you even know it, just when we were talking about the season, last premiership season, it's starting this weekend. And I'll just quickly fire through the draw, but we'll talk about one match in particular. But Burnley make their debut into the premiership, taking on, well, what a way to start, taking on Man City. Arsenal taking on Nottingham Forest. Sheffield United, Alan Roberts, I think he's Sheffield United or not Sheffield Wednesday. He'll kill me if I get that wrong, but Sheffield United taking on Crystal Palace at home. Bournemouth taking on West Ham at home. Brighton at home to Luton Town. You're saying there might be a car parking issue, so that'll be interesting. Everton, well, yes, what's going to happen with them this year? And can Fulham produce what they did last year? Taking on Everton. Newcastle taking on Aston Villa. That'll be a big game, actually.
Yeah.
Brentford taking on Tottenham. Chelsea taking on Liverpool, which we'll talk about, and Man United taking on Wolves. So the manager just leaves. Gary O'Neill comes in, and he's straight into it against Man U. But probably the match of the round would be Chelsea versus Liverpool, mainly because those two sides last year, they're the big guns. They both didn't live up to expectations. So there'll be a lot to prove in that game, won't there?
Yeah, there will be. Well, I think Liverpool they had a bit of a mid-season slump, sort of came back in the end and sort of finished on a high.
Yeah.
They won about 9 in a row at the end there. Did quite well. Chelsea were just a basket case all year, to be honest. Manager after manager after manager, but they've seemed to settle down now with, is it Pochettino there? He's at Chelsea. So, look, and he's recruited well. Look, they did well in that tournament in the States.
Yes, they did.
That's a tough one to pick, son. I wouldn't, but if anything, you'd probably go look at Chelsea at home there for that game.
They look good in that summer series.
Yeah, they did. They just looked some good players. The boy Jackson up top. And, I think after last year's debacle, they'll want to start on a winning way, I'd say. But yeah, Newcastle Villa, that'll be a top game because a lot of people are picking Villa to do well this year.
Yeah, that's right.
And of course, Newcastle making Champions League, so that's a big. All those games are great to watch.
Yeah,
brilliant football, and it was only 10 weeks or 12 weeks ago it finished, and we're back into it.
And can Brentford find that similar form, and then Tottenham, well, they're hot and cold, aren't they? So we'll see how that goes. Well, before you know it, we'll be entrenched in Premiership football. So over the coming weeks, so look forward to the results to that. Just a bit of New Zealand football news: the New Zealand under-17 drew with New Caledonia. Under-17s 1-1. So that's a good result for New Caledonia. But that was their warm-up.
They're going to the World Cup.
New Zealand's going off to the World Cup. That's right. So the under-20. So they're probably a little bit disappointed with that result. But New Caledonia, they're probably
they got
not a bad side.
They got the French connection there, but like Tahiti, good players there. I went to Tahiti years and years ago with Papa Tauitai way back in the late 80s, and we played the national team twice. And we had a really good side. We were actually fourth in the National League, and they beat us. Yeah, right. We beat them once, and they beat us. Very good side. And because it's French, a lot of French players here. So, and New Caledonia the same, I think. Got that French connection. But
FIFA Women's World Cup, and we're getting down to the business end, the quarterfinals. And they're all in. All the results are in.
Yeah.
And let's go through and see if we can do some picks. So first of all, Spain versus Netherlands. I have to say, I mean, I'm impressed with both sides, but I was really impressed with that Spain side. Geez, they play some good football.
Yeah, well, I think the Dutch have got their best player. Midfielder suspended. She's had too many yellow cards. I can't remember her name. Plays Miller Park, but she's out. I know the Netherlands have high expectations here, but that's going to be that's hard to pick. That's got penalties written all over it.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, Spain's been banging them in, and they've also had they've had a hiding as well, haven't they? I think, did someone beat them?
I can't remember, but the last couple of games I've seen, I was just really
Switzerland 5-1, didn't they?
Yeah, and I was that's right, and I was just really impressed with the way they play. They play some nice football, and they've got some great finishes. And
yeah, a lot of recycling, 2 touch, just pass and move.
Yeah, it's that classic Spanish football.
Yeah, it is. They like to keep it and just keep moving it around. Dutch, I think, have got a bit of steel about them. Very good women's side, but without the name forgets me now, but she's suspended. So yeah, look, hard to pick there.
Penalties. There you go.
Yeah.
Japan versus Sweden, and Phil is still in the race. He got them in the sweepstake. He was very impressed with them, but I didn't think actually they looked that strong in the last game, and they snuck through. And Japan, as they do in these tournaments, they're always thereabouts. They're building quite nicely.
Look, Japan were paying $35 to win the tournament at the start.
Well, that'd be a good bet.
Matt Jones, who I work with, got him at $21. Now they're down to $5. So he's laughing all the way to the bank. Sweden were poor against United States. I thought United States should have won that. And of course, United States haven't been great up to then.
No.
So, but that penalty shootout in the Sweden-United States was just amazing. Some of the misses from United States, they only had themselves to blame. And of course, the last one, the Swedish girl took the VAR to step in to get the right decision. I'm picking Japan here.
Yeah,
I think they're getting better with every game. They cleaned up Norway 3-1. Busy
they're
side.
dangerous up top, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, and they're very nippy, and they're very quick, and they're well organised, and they're going well. And I just think their confidence is flowing. They're scoring goals. They're strong at the back. And a big ask for Sweden here, but I'm picking Japan to win that.
Australia versus France, and I didn't see the France game against, was it Morocco, wasn't it?
That was last night, late.
Yeah, so that was quite a comprehensive win, 4-0. And Australia, I enjoyed watching them. I thought they played well against the Swiss, but France are a different side to the Swiss, aren't they?
Well, yeah, they always say Melbourne Cup, it's a race that stops the nation. I think this is going to stop the nation as well, because I just looked at some TV figures they were talking about on radio today, and the game against Denmark, more people watching that than the AFL final
yeah, right.
and the NRL grand final. So it's amazing. And I think it's in Sydney. So they'll get massive, massive crowd. They'll have the whole country behind them. Look, it's going to be a tough game against France. France looked quite good leading up. Hard to pick, but I'd go for the Aussies just for the support they'll have behind them.
Sam Kerr came on for about the last 15, and geez, what a player! I haven't seen her play a lot, but when she came on, just her touch and the reading of the game, she is a class above. There was a bit of concern still about the fact that she's not 100%, but she'll have to start this game.
I'd say so.
Yeah.
They'll definitely start her. This is do or die when you get to quarterfinals. You're only 2 games away from the final, so take a pill, suck it up.
Are you allowed to do it these days?
Well, take something. Just, I imagine she'll be playing.
They'll be strapping and icing and doing everything they can.
But France have had some big wins. They've been pretty convincing, so it won't be easy. But as I said, the nation will be behind them.
Yeah.
70, 80,000 people there supporting them.
Well, Skippy might not be too far off, because if that momentum keeps going, they could win this. England taking on Colombia, and England just scraped through, and on penalties against Nigeria. Nigeria looked good, and England have had one of their best players,
Lauren James.
Yeah, she looked fantastic.
I don't know what. Bit of a brain fade there. I don't know why she stood on the girl's back. You're not going to get away with that.
England have got this history, haven't they? It's now the women's game that there was Beckham.
Yeah.
And who was our man way back, liked to drinkle too?
Gazza. Yeah.
Gazza did the same.
Yeah. Well, look, England dug deep there, because even when when she did that, they're under the cosh. So they so down to 10, but the Nigeria just didn't seem to, I don't know, take advantage of that extra player. But England got through on penalties in the end. It was and so they were lucky. But I think they'll beat Colombia. Right. I watched Colombia last night. They beat Jamaica. That was a good game, actually. Jamaica looked quite a good side.
Yeah, well, they were really wrapped that they made it far.
They hadn't conceded a goal all tournament.
Yeah.
Until last night. Yeah. Unbelievable. And they had one of the centre half at the back for Jamaica. If you get a chance to see her, unbelievable player. She was outstanding. But no, I'm picking England to win that.
Rightio.
So England, Japan, Australia,
and
Spain.
I'm going to pick Spain. Yeah. I just think their football flair will come through, and Netherlands look fantastic. Hard to pick, but I just think that Spain have got a couple of players up front that could put it away.
Yeah.
So there we are. Going to look forward to next week. Lots of football. The Premiership starting. The World Cup finals are starting to come to the crunch end, and a local division still to decide this weekend, Paul.
Yeah.
So it's going to be nervous times, but wish the boys all the best of luck. And going to be a big occasion on Saturday.
Well, it'd be nice to win it. We've been leading it all year. We'd won 12 in a row. We should have been 13 from 13 at the week, but in the end of the day, it doesn't mean anything. Rangers stuck in there. They're hard. They're a good side. They're well organised. They've got Tor Wachter there, and his father coached him. His brother's a good player. Keegan Mortimer's quick up front. They've got another guy, Harrison Pines, played Southern League. Yeah, it's we'll see. We'll see, son.
It's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
All right.
Something to look forward to.
Thanks very much once again, PB. All the best. Good luck. And thank you to our listeners. Keep the comments coming in, and we'll speak to you again next week.
Talk Nelson Radio. It's the Talk of Nelson.